What's up, y'all? Jason here, back again. This is the basics of nutritionally how you would do ketogenic diets. It's not for everybody. Also, I want to make this disclaimer. I'm not a doctor, so you have some certain health risks that you need to take into consideration. You're definitely seek out the help of a certified doctor. This is not a new diet. This has actually been around since like the 20s. It was actually a treatment for kids with epilepsy who did not respond to traditional methods. This is nothing new. It's just kind of the newest thing right now in the way of fat loss because everyone's jumping on board with how that burns fat. I'm gonna go through some of the little basics on it and kind of touch on some do's and don'ts towards the end. Also, if you want to be kept up to date when I post the next video and things like that, just take your big fat thumb or finger and smash that button that says subscribe. Let's talk about the basics of what your body uses right now for energy. Question, what are you using for energy right now? And if you're saying energy drink, coffee, or anything else like that, you're wrong. I'm saying nutritionally speaking, what is your body running on? Glucose. Glucose comes from things like carbs and sugar. We were talking about, so, really? And action. Here in a second, I'll explain. Are you serious right now? That's like the 17th one in the last 30 seconds. I have literally picked the worst spot, the worst day, the worst time. Now, hey, how's it going? Thank you for your car being quiet. Oh, you waved back. How awesome was that? Nice guy. You might be asking, Jason, why are you outside? I'm just trying to cool off. Just got through working out. As a matter of fact, I might even introduce a little workout montage. What is the point of our body, evolutionarily speaking, why do we store fat? It's a stored energy source, kind of like a reserve tank, to be used just in case you run out. Wow, I did not realize how long, I tried to keep myself on point. I went notes, okay? Long notes. That way I would keep myself on track and not get off course. I am on the second point right now. I haven't even gotten anywhere. I'm trying to get back on track. Let's get back to it and talk about glucose and how that kind of transitional train tracks. I'm off the tracks. Your body uses glucose as energy. Fat is used as an energy source as well. You have to get out of a glucose running state to be able to do this. When you're doing this, you are cutting out carbs and sugars. Therefore, your body says we have to revert to our backup system, which is fat. When it's getting its energy from burning fat, what ends up happening is you release ketones in the body, hence ketogenic diet. Understand that you are running on glucose right now, and to get in a ketogenic state, you have to stop introducing carbs and sugars. And what is going on with this? This is in my face, bro. These are dead. Let's get the dead ones. So the basics is this, 20, 80. 20% protein, 80% fat. I do 20-75-5, meaning 20% protein, 75% fat, and 5% I allow for carbs. And the reason I do that is because it allows me to have, trace carbs from things like avocado, and there's certain vegetables and things of that nature. Well, Jason, where do you get your fats from? I'm glad you asked. Things like avocados, oils, nuts, nut butters, high fat sources of meat. So things like lamb, salmon, those are really high in fat. Butter needs to be organic, real butter. None of this whipped margin crazy business. It needs to be like legit butter. Tastes amazing. You can have vegetables. Really, your dark leafy green vegetables are the best route to go. Okay, most fruits you want to kind of be careful with because they're high in sugar. So very small amounts. Same thing when it comes to certain nuts like cashews. Just having low carb doesn't do you much if you're not keeping track of basically the ratios. That's what's so awesome about this diet. It is kind of restrictive at first if you're used to eating anything and everything, but it's also very, very simple. So you can pretty much eat just about anywhere and be able to stay within a ketogenic diet. So for me, I can even go to a Mexican restaurant, which you would think there's no way. I actually will have things like taco salad, just avoid the shell. Do fajitas, sour cream, guacamole, things like that. Lots of extra fats in there, okay? And you'll be able to stay on point. High fat, moderate to low protein. Because if you have too much protein, your body will then take and convert the excess protein into glucose. And guess what? You kicked yourself out, not even realizing why. Again, keto is kind of like credit. It takes a while to build up and it takes nothing to knock you back out. So you have done a great job of now kicking your body into this like, oh, here we go, now we're in this mode, we're gonna burn fat. And then this happens anywhere from 2 to 3 days into your diet up to a week or two out, depending on how strict you really are and how consistent you're staying with your diet. Consistency is key. You've got to keep with the plan if you ever want to see results ever. Keto flu happens in that 2 to 3 day mark, upwards of a week, and that only lasts for a couple days. Now, the reason they call it a keto flu is because you start to feel just kind of weak and maybe a little bit nauseous or headaches, that feeling of almost like you're about to get a flu, right, or get sick. Now, that only lasts for a couple days, and that is the moment when your body is switching out of the glucose state into burning fats and becoming ketogenic. Now you're converting over, and what's happening is your body's starting to release extra ketones that it's not used to having in the system. So what it does is it releases the excess ketones in what way? Urine. When you go tinkle, excess ketones are being released. The best thing to do is to monitor your progress. 4 ways you can do this. 1, 2, 3, 4. MyFitnessPal. MyFitnessPal is free. I've used it for years. A lot of people know what it is, and you can track your food. And you set your goals for what you want on your macros. And so obviously set it for what you think you want, 20-80 or 20-75-5. Make sure that you are maintaining each meal throughout the day on those ratios. MyFitnessPal tracks you. I started that way and it was great because I was hitting my ratios, but then I wasn't like, yes, I know I'm in ketosis, right? I don't know that because I'm just doing it based off this. I think I am based off the numbers. Like I said, there's 4 ways to track this. There's actually 3 ways to monitor it. Test, that's the word I should have used there. So testing it, you can do with the P strips. That's the most common, and the reason being is that it is, they're super cheap. Okay, but I'm gonna explain something about that in a second. The next is a breathalyzer, which again, that's measuring ketones on your breath. Fun fact, you tend to get halitosis when you're switching over. So during that time frame, about the time of the keto flu, you will have halitosis pretty rough for a couple days there during that same process. It goes away, so don't freak out about that, but just understand it's a moment. The 4th and final way would be with a blood strip, okay? And I mean blood strip is in like a diabetic meter. You have a little bitty meter, you have a little strip in there, you have to prick your finger with one of those little things, the thing with the Lancet device. That is one of the most accurate because it is actually reading it through your blood. You want to make sure that you get an actual keto meter. A diabetic meter will not do it correctly. You also have to get ketogenic strips. You cannot use a diabetic strip. The reason most people don't go that route is because it's a lot more expensive. I am right on track with these notes. Who needs this? Okay, I better pick that up. So now we're gonna talk about do's and don'ts. Now that you are cutting out certain things from your diet, you're gonna be missing a few minerals here and there. So this is where supplements come into play. Vitamins and minerals, these are super important. You need to find something, and here's the key, that has a high absorption rate. So I take a very specific set of supplements that have high intake. It just takes care of all the kind of the loose ends, if you will, of vitamins and minerals you're not quite getting out of some of your diet since you're cutting some things out. Another supplement I'm gonna talk about, actually, it's not even a supplement. This is more of a dietary thing. Salt. What you need to be looking for is either sea salt or pink Himalayan salt. Fiber. This is one that people don't think about, and you don't have to be 80 years old to take fiber. You actually need this in your diet. What that fiber is doing is a couple things. One, it is getting rid of the bad fats, okay? Cholesterol and bad bacteria in your gut. I look into fiber supplements. There's fiber bars, there's fiber snacks, there's fiber powders. They're not all gross. I do a fiber supplement as well. Very highly necessary, and your body will thank you for that. The last thing I want to talk about is the don'ts on supplements. There are a lot of companies that have just popped up out of nowhere because of the whole ketogenic lifestyle that want to sell you something. They want you to buy their supplement because it's going to get you into ketosis faster, or it's going to get you into keto. Here's the thing and the fallacy I have with that. I just want you to think. This also goes back to the way of monitoring and testing. So we think about how we test it. One of those ways I told you was what? Was P strips, right? They were originally designed for diabetics to see and monitor whether or not they were getting into a keto acidosis state. The P strips are super cheap. That's why most people go there. So think back to what I said. When your body goes into ketosis, you have an excess amount of ketones. So when you're peeing out excess ketones and you put that P strip out there and you pee on it, and guess what you find? Oh, I'm really in ketosis. Look at where it says I am. I'm in this ketogenic state based off the color, right? Kind of like a litmus paper test. Well, that's all fine and good. Then all of a sudden you start to see that it drops off and you're not like as in keto as you think you should be. So you start to freak out. What do I do? What do I do? Well, maybe this ketone supplement will help me. And all of a sudden you drink it and boom, you have ketones, right? So let me explain this. When your body first goes into keto, it's peeing out the excess. It will become adaptive, keto adaptive. At that point, it doesn't get rid of them because it starts to use them. So what happens? It stops peeing out as many. So you stop registering on this little paper test that you're as keto because less ketones are showing up on the paper. Duh. Well, if you drink a whole bunch of ketones, all of a sudden you're going to be doing what? You've flushed into your system a ton of ketones your body doesn't need. What is it going to do? It's going to pee them out. You're going to pee that on a strip. It's going to register you're in more ketosis. All of a sudden, oh my gosh, that product's the best thing in the world. That's not necessarily helping you lose weight. That's just monitoring on a pee strip. You know, if you drink a whole bunch of alcohol, you will pee out a higher blood alcohol level. That doesn't make you alcoholosis. So understanding that, you don't need to go buy a keto supplement when you can do it nutritionally. You're going to buy food one way or the other. You just pick the food you're going to buy that you're already spending money on, so your budget stays the same. You don't spend more money on stuff you weren't going to buy anyway.